The Seattle Kraken and how they're going to do, to me, is one of the most intriguing things heading into the 2021-22 season. As an expansion team coming into the league, you wouldn't really think that anyone would have high expectations for them, but I feel like Vegas kind of changed that when they came in their inaugural season and of course made the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, I don't think anyone expects Seattle to come in and make the Stanley Cup Finals in their first season, but I have seen a good amount of people pick them to actually make the playoffs, and considering they're in the weakest division in the league, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities at all. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at the Seattle Kraken, their depth chart up front, on the back end, and I'm going to be giving you guys my expectations for the Kraken this upcoming season, how well I think they're going to do. Also at the end of the video, I'll give you guys some predictions, as well as look at a poll that I put up on the community tab for you guys to vote on. So to start things off, I want to take a look at the Seattle Kraken forward depth chart. Now obviously on the screen here, this isn't their entire roster of forwards. These are just the guys that I expect to see playing in the NHL on a regular basis, or at least at some point. First, on the left side, we have Jaden Schwartz, Jared McCann, Brendan Tanev, Marcus Johansson, and I have Ryan Donato on here, who is actually a recent signing by the Kraken. They signed him a couple of days ago to a one-year deal worth $750K, which I think is actually a decent little pickup for Seattle. Obviously, there's never any risk involved when you sign a player to a one-year deal worth league minimum. Ryan Donato is a player with some offensive upside. He can score goals, and for a team that I think may struggle to score goals, could be a good signing. Now at the center position, we have Yanni Gourde, Alexander Wenberg, Kalle Järnkrok, Morgan Geekie, and Nathan Bastian. They also signed Riley Sheahan, I think a couple of weeks ago, who plays the center position, but I expect him to be an extra on most nights or in the minors. Now on the right side, they have Jordan Eberle, Jonas Donskoy, Mason Appleton, Colin Blackwell, and Cole Lind, who was a prospect they selected from the Vancouver Canucks. I expect him to maybe get some action in the NHL at some point this season. Now I should mention, the way you see the players listed on the screen, these are not my line projections for Seattle or anything like that. These are just players listed at their position to take a look at the depth chart. But when you look at the list of forwards that they have and think of potential line combinations, what lines 1 through 4 could look like, this is a team that I think is relatively deep. I don't see a scenario where they have a line that just gets caved in every time they go on the ice, and also I can't see them having a line that just completely dominates the other team when they're on the ice either. This is a competitive forward group for sure, but I do think it is the weak part of the team. I feel like they're going to struggle to score goals most nights. I mean, they have players that can put the puck in the net, obviously Jordan Eberle, Jaden Schwartz, Yanni Gourde, Jared McCann, but they don't really have too many guys that are capable of driving a line and controlling the play to be able to set up those guys to score goals. I'm excited to see how this group of forwards does. Obviously, with an expansion team like this, there's going to be a player or two that kind of break out and have a big season out of nowhere. Looking at the list of players here, if I had to throw out a name that I think is capable of doing that, I'm going to go with Mason Appleton. They selected him from the Winnipeg Jets. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on that though. If you had to pick one player from the Seattle Kraken to have a big breakout season in 2021-22, who would that player be? Now moving on to take a look at the defense and goaltending depth chart for the Seattle Kraken, and to me this is easily the strong point of this team. I think it's evident that Ron Francis wanted to build from the blue line out, and I think he did a pretty good job at that. On the left side, they have Mark Giordano, obviously a former Norris Trophy winner in the latter years of his career for sure, but he's still a pretty good defenseman. Jamie Alexiak, Carson Soucy, and Jeremy Lauzon. And then on the right side, you have Adam Larson, who they selected and signed from the Edmonton Oilers, Vince Dunn, Hayden Fleury, and I also have Cale Fleury on here as well. Outside of Vegas, this might be the best decor in the Pacific Division already. Extremely good defensively, especially. I don't know how many points you're going to get from this blue line, but they're going to do a really good job of keeping the puck out of their own net, suppressing shots, keeping things to the outside. And when teams are able to create something against Seattle's strong blue line, they have a pretty solid last line of defense as well in terms of goaltenders. You have a guy in Philip Grubauer, who was literally just nominated for the Vezina Trophy in 2020-21, and then also a goalie in Chris Drieger, who has a career .929 save percentage. That is easily a top 10 goaltending tandem in the league, especially if they play the way they did this past season. And of course, they also have Joey Daccord, who they selected from the Ottawa Senators, who I think is a more than capable third string option. On paper, this is a very good defensive team. Now, is that going to translate to on-ice performance? Obviously, we never know until we see them play. In all likelihood, though, I think it will. I do think this is going to be a very good defensive team this upcoming upcoming season. To me, when it comes to Seattle, I feel like it all just comes down to offense. If they can even just be a slightly above average offensive team in 2021-22, don't be surprised if we see them in a wildcard spot or something. Now moving on to my season predictions slash expectations for the Seattle Kraken. In terms of who I think is going to lead the team in goals, I'm going with probably the most obvious answer, Jordan Eberle. I feel like he's the most proven goal scorer on this team. He's a guy you can almost always count on to score 20 plus goals in a season, or at least score above a 20 goal pace in a season. My prediction for who I think is going to lead the team in total points, I went with Jaden Schwartz. I feel like this is another obvious choice here. He's a guy who's had 5 seasons in which he's put up 50 plus points. He had 1 season where he was pretty close to point a game as well. My pick for who their best player is going to be, or their MVP, I guess you could say, I went with Philip Grubauer. Again, coming off of a season in which he was nominated for the Vezina Trophy. Yeah, he's going to a team in Seattle that's much worse than the team he had in Colorado, but he's still going to have a very strong blue line in front of him. I think he's going to have another great year. And as you can see, my prediction for where I think they're going to finish in the standings, I didn't make an exact prediction because I am going to make season standings predictions before the season starts, so I don't want to completely spoil it, but I have Seattle finishing somewhere between 4th and 6th in the Pacific Division. I think that there's 2 teams they're almost certainly going to be better than, and those teams are the San Jose Sharks and the Anaheim Ducks. Everything after that, I think, is just all up in the air when it comes to this division. So I don't have Seattle making the playoffs, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I do think they're going to be a really competitive team. I think that they're going to be competing for a wild card down the stretch. I think they're going to be playing meaningful games towards the end of the season. I just don't think they get in the end. I feel like the wild card race is going to end up being 3 teams from the Pacific make the playoffs in the Western Conference, and then 5 teams from the Central make it, so the Central Division gets both of the wild card spots. That's what I think is going to happen. And now the last thing I want to take a look at in today's video is what you guys think. Like I said at the start of the video, I did put a poll up on the community tab last night, and as of the time I'm recording this video, there are over 5,500 votes, so thank you to everybody who went and left a vote. The poll was pretty simple. Where will the Seattle Kraken finish in the Pacific Division? I had 4 options between 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th, or 7th and 8th. And the most popular answer, getting 53% of the votes, was between 5th and 6th place. Also, between 3rd and 4th place got 31% of the votes. No one really voted for them to finish 1st or 2nd or in one of the bottom 2 spots. So I feel like the consensus when it comes to Seattle is everybody believes they're going to finish somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Division, between 3rd and 6th place, and I feel like that makes sense. I'm kind of in that same boat as well. So naturally, they're probably just going to win the division, right? So that is going to wrap up today's video, going over the Seattle Kraken's roster, giving you guys my expectations and thoughts on the team heading into the upcoming season. I'm really interested to hear your guys' thoughts on the Seattle Kraken heading into the season, so be sure to get down there in the comment section down below. Let me know all of your thoughts and predictions for everything that pertains to Seattle. And also, I'm really interested to know how many Seattle fans are out there already. Is there any watching this video? Subscribe to this channel.